Good morning, writers. Let's get started by filling out our writing learning intentions. Make sure you fill out today's date, and today as a writer I am working on including who, what, when, and where in my news story. Writers, today I want to teach you that when journalists collect ideas, they make sure to include the who, what, when, and where of the event. Journalists know that this is the most essential information in a news report and that it must appear at the very beginning of a news story. A lot of times you'll hear the 5 W's of journalism mentioned. Today, our focus is really going to be on the top 4 of those W's. So the first one is who. That tells who the article is about. Next is what. Explains what event is being covered in the article. Then when tells when the event happened, and where tells where the event happened. As I said before, a journalist absolutely must include those 4 W's in their writing. And sometimes, usually in investigative journalism, the reporters look for the why. They investigate why an event happened. So writers, one suggestion I have is to quickly jot down the who, what, when, and where before you even start writing your story. That way you'll make sure to get these things right at the beginning of your news story. So I'm thinking that I might write a story about Friday morning as students were writing and Mr. Devers was mowing the lawn in front of our windows. So before I'm going to start my story, I'm going to think about the who, what, when, and where. So in this story, the who are the 4th grade students. What? We're distracted by Mr. Devers mowing the lawn. When? Friday, May 20th at 11 o'clock a.m. And where? On the playground. Actually, where would probably be the classroom, because Mr. Devers was on the playground, the students were in the classroom. Now I can take this information and start out my story strong with everything my reader needs to know. So here might be the start of that story. On Friday, May 20th at 11 a.m., students in Mrs. Paczynski's classroom were furiously writing their news stories when they were abruptly interrupted by the sound of a lawnmower. Students looked up to notice Mr. Devers, the custodian, cutting the grass right in front of their classroom windows. One student was so distracted by the ruckus that instead of writing, he waved and smiled at Mr. Devers through the window. All right, journalists, go back and look at what I just wrote. Check. Do I have the who, what, when, and where? Turn and tell your partner. If so, give me a thumb up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Well, let's see. We've got the who. It was students in Mrs. Paczynski's classroom. What? I would probably say we're interrupted by the sound of a lawnmower. When? Friday, May 20th at 11 a.m. And where? I would say that we could probably go with Mrs. Paczynski's classroom right here would be the where. So I would want to go ahead and make sure I finished my story after this, but I did notice I forgot to include a title with my story. I want you guys to think of what would be a catchy title that sticks with the ideas that the story is trying to convey. Turn and talk to your partner about what I might be able to put as a title for this news story. Maybe you came up with something like Writing Interrupted by Lawn Mowing Custodian. Or maybe you came up with something even more creative. So today you're going to continue to write news stories, keeping in mind now the 5 W's of journalism and making sure that you are looking that you have the who, what, where, and when in the beginning of every news story. Work hard and make it a great writing day.